All right, so here's a clip art image that poses an interesting problem when you start to ungroup it. So in a previous post I showed you how you can manipulate an image, ungroup it, and then you can take out items. So in this case, let's say we want to take out all of these things here and just have an empty living room that we can work with. So what we do is right click on it, select group, we ungroup it, and this will open up the dialog box that says you have to convert it to a drawing object, so we'll say yes. And now we're going to right click and actually ungroup it. So now we've ungrouped it, and what we want to do is start to select these things. And let's say we want to select this this couch. Now when I select the couch and want to move it or take it out, you'll notice this is an entire image, and what that does is tell me one of two things. One, this is either a complete image and so I can't do anything with it, or it's also grouped. So let's go backwards and I'll show you what we have. So if we go to ungroup the image, you'll notice here when we ungroup it that you don't really see everything. All these things aren't selected. And the reason is because this is actually a grouped image within a grouped image. So if I go ahead and right click and then ungroup again, I can just keep ungrouping until I get to all my groups ungrouped, and I would just go ahead and right click again, and eventually I'll get to the ungroup feature being grayed out. So then I know that I no longer have any other groups in there. Now I can go in here and then take things out. Now I'm just going to do this real fast, just sweep across here, and then I might end up taking out things that I don't really want in my screen. So you can see how fast it is to modify this image then, and I'll just take these out. I'm doing this in real time because I just want you to see that it's really not that hard to do. So now what you can do is you can come in here and clean up this image a little if you wanted to, and add a black line if you want to do that. Now I'll show you something that really comes in handy. So let's say you've ungrouped this, and now you want to manipulate this living room. Now one of the challenges is you have all these isolated items. So let's say I wanted to take the picture frame. I can do this and I select the picture frame, but it's all of these pictures, all these things together. So I can hit Control G and group it. Now I've got that as a picture frame and as a single group rather than a bunch of little images, so I can move that around. Now one of the nice things in PowerPoint 2007 is they have this selection pane. So when I open the selection pane, what it does is it actually shows me all of the objects that are, all the layers on the screen. So in this case, I'm going to collapse this group. This group right here is the picture frame. So I'm going to call this picture, and then we've got that. I'm going to go ahead and group the speakers too. And we'll Control G that. And then we can, same thing, we can just go down here and we'll see here's the speaker, and we'll call that speaker 1. And now you can see these things are grouped, and then I can move them around the living room. Another thing that's kind of cool about this is it allows me to select things better. So if the speakers weren't grouped and I wanted to select the TV, I'd have the speaker and the TV stuff all mingled together. So by grouping it, it's easier to isolate those. And one way you can isolate them is when you select them all, you can just hit the Shift button and then click on it, and that deselects that. And that's fine if it's just one thing. Another way to do it is once you've got these things grouped is, like in this case we have speaker, we go to the selection pane and I can turn the visibility of that off. And we could do the same thing here for picture frame. And then I can come in here and isolate the TV. And let's say I do that, Control G, and I've got my TV here, and I can label that. I can turn the TV off, you know, and I can see that I actually didn't get everything. But I can do the same thing here for the window. Do Control G, and then I've got my window frame. Where's that at? That's going to be here. And then you can see how that's really going to help you, and you can turn the window off. And so it's easier to manipulate the objects that way. And when you go to animate, you'll see that whatever label you have here. So if I animate this real quick here, let's just go ahead and add an appear animation. You'll notice that the label now is window versus something like freeform 1244, which means nothing.